Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. We're just going to wait for some more people to join and we'll begin in about 2 minutes. All right, hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Level Up 7 Digital Tactics to Immediately Elevate Your Brand. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I'm the Senior Marketing Coordinator for Trader Interactive and I'll be your webinar moderator today. Let's walk through some quick housekeeping before we begin.
Cal, you're not presenting.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let's start over then. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Level Up 7 Digital Tactics to Immediately Elevate Your Brand. My name is Kyle O'Grady, Senior Marketing Coordinator for Trader Interactive, and I'll be your webinar moderator today. Let's walk through some quick housekeeping before we begin. If you need to make any adjustments to your sound during this presentation, you'll see your audio controls in the webinar control panel. You have the option to toggle between using computer audio or phone call if you would need to change that, as well as adjust your microphone settings and volume. If you think of any questions throughout this presentation, enter them into the question section of the control panel, and then when we get to the Q&A portion at the end, we'll be sure to answer your questions then. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. And just really quick, we have uploaded brand-specific social media resources to the handout section. Feel free to download if you're interested in learning more. To download, click the handouts dropdown and then the Adobe file to download the PDF. These are also available for download in the guide section on our media kits. So I'd like to introduce you to Simon Hesseltine, VP of Audience Growth at Trader Interactive. Simon's team is responsible for driving traffic and branding efforts to Trader Interactive's industry-leading sites. Simon has grown and led diverse award-winning teams of professionals to new levels of success in a variety of highly competitive and fast-paced industries. He's a frequent speaker, trainer, and moderator at conferences around the world on a variety of marketing topics. We're thrilled to have him host today's webinar. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to you, Simon.
Thank you, Kyle. Hello, everybody. So I'm excited to be here today to bring you insight into how you can level up your digital strategy and attract more buyers to your dealership in the new year. I promise you it's going to be easier than you think. So today we're going to be walking through 7 digital tactics to utilize for rounding out and optimizing your online presence. But why are we even talking about this? Why isn't just having these online pages enough? Well, let's first explore why digital marketing is important to your business. The shopping landscape has changed drastically throughout the years, and even more dramatically within the last year. Even before COVID-19, brick and mortar shopping had become less important. 79% of consumers are pre-researching their buys online before making a large purchase in the stores. This means that 79% of the individuals who in the past would come directly to you to learn about a product are now clicking around many different online resources and dealer sites to gain the same kind of information. there's a chance that these buyers are not even landing on your site during this research process. So, and again, pre-COVID, the average American was checking their phone every 12 minutes or about 80 times a day. That's 80 times a day someone was picking up their phone to check a text or a social page or just browsing the internet. Now, think of how many people are choosing to stay inside more and choosing to watch videos and movies on their phone instead of going out. This number is increasing, and in a lot of cases, it's not even a choice for them these days. And Trader Interactive felt this change in consumer behavior in real time. Visitor traffic across all of our Trader Interactive sites has been increasing. In fact, in November, we saw a 40.8% year-over-year traffic increase. We've spent this year breaking records, and we're not seeing any kind of slowdown right now. Now, when I do say that COVID-19 has changed shopping behavior, I don't want to make light of the pandemic's terrible impact on the world at large. That said, despite the changes the world is undergoing, people are shopping at unprecedented levels. In fact, US online sales increased 49% in April. Retailers are getting ahead of this trend and are expected to continue investing in e-commerce into the holiday season. The longer our consumers spend in this new normal, the more it becomes the normal. It's important to prepare your business now before your competitors do. Now, I know that many of our first thoughts are, well, people won't shop in grocery stores anymore, but they're surely not going to stop coming into our dealerships to buy large purchases. Well, as I say in the Bond film, never say never. The emergence of websites like Carvana and many OEMs developing their own digital retailing solutions throughout the transaction stage, that's going to expedite how quickly we move into a competitive digital retailing world. In a recent study conducted, 62% of consumers stated that they were more likely to complete steps of their purchase process online due to COVID. So whether that's the research phase or contacting a dealership or financing, people are more and more likely to spend more time online as opposed to actually coming into your store. In that same study, they found that 2 out of 3 shoppers are actually more likely to buy a vehicle 100% online due to COVID-19. So not only are our consumers maybe completing a large portion of the research online, but even further, some people are already becoming comfortable taking the entire transaction process online. Now is the time you need to be building and transforming your digital strategy to meet the consumer who emerges after this pandemic. Again, 2 out of 3 shoppers are more likely to buy a vehicle 100% online due to COVID. But Simon, I already have a website. Isn't that enough? Well, I know you do, because you're a smart dealer who knows your consumer is already shopping online. But realistically, you need to take your online presence to the next level. If a consumer has a pleasant experience on your website, they're that much more likely to take those next steps to contact you or even walk in your front door. So as a dealer, how do you ensure that your digital presence reaches a broader audience and creates that user-friendly experience and cultivates those repeat visitors? Well, the answer to that complex question is there are many ways to reach a broader audience more effectively. But in my experience, there are 7 approaches that you should prioritize when improving your digital presence. These will give your website the boost it needs to reach the 79% of consumers who are searching online. In combination, these approaches help you keep visitors on your website longer and keep them coming back to you as a trusted source. Now, obviously, I'm going to walk through all 7 steps in more detail throughout this presentation, but here's the high-level listing of them. Optimizing your website performance, updating your online listings, optimizing your social media performance, investing in your SEO and SEM, retargeting your advertising, and measuring your KPIs. So let's start going through those. Well, the first one of those, it's the ground level. It's optimizing your website performance. Now, again, I know you've got a website, but it's critical that you've optimized it to perform to your customer standards. You don't want your website to send consumers running the other way. You want to draw them in with as much information as possible so they know that you are the dealer to trust. And let's begin with the first thing a consumer is going to notice when clicking on your website: the design and functionality. It takes users 50 milliseconds. That's 0.05 seconds for them to form an opinion about your website that will determine whether they'll leave or whether they'll stay. More than half of consumers conducting online research will click away from a site or not trust a business because of that first impression. Your site is the digital face of your company. You like your employees to present well and appear inviting to a customer. Your site should have the same effect. When it comes to your website, it should be well designed in both look and functionality. An aesthetically pleasing and easy to navigate site will invite those customers in and convey the professionality and legitimacy of your business to visitors. This appearance should flow throughout your site. Think of your online showroom like you do your physical showroom. In an increasingly digital era, in some cases, your virtual showroom is the one and only one your customers might encounter. Think of someone walking into your dealership. They walk in and there are a few units around on the floor. They're locked, they've got no price. So the consumer can't even decide how much the units cost or what they look like inside. Your staff isn't around. The one person in the showroom sitting there on their phone. The visitor goes to take a pamphlet to try and learn a little bit more about the unit in your dealership, but it's blank. Do you think they're going to stay long? When a consumer clicks through to your virtual showroom, you want to continue to cultivate your dealership's legitimacy by providing all of the information an individual might need. Fundamentally, you need to feature dealership location, hours of operation, links to your inventory combined with the prices and robust descriptions. You want to introduce your sales staff so customers can envision who they'll work with. And don't forget to connect out to your social pages and any blog sites that you have if you have them. And you must remember to include all services you offer to your customer on your site. Don't miss out on sales for your service and parts department because you are only trying to sell the units you've got. Include those departments on your website. It ensures that people know your full range of offering, plus it will help you to appear in more Google searches. And any questions someone might have should be answered on your site without having to take a really deep dive to find them. Now, part of what's contributing to customers' increased time online is the fact that people are spending more time on their phones. In fact, pre-COVID research showed that 82% of smartphone users consulted their phones on purchases when they're about to make them in person. Think about how much more this behavior has increased with customers going to Amazon One-Click or Instacart in order to order everything short of an RV, an ATV, or a trailer. Websites are not automatically formatted for a mobile phone. This is something that has to be programmed in. Taking the additional steps to make your website mobile-friendly benefits you in a number of ways. One, it saves you money from having to design two separate sites. You will have more flexibility in design as you will only have to make edits to one site. The overall user experience will improve and usability will enable you to rank higher in a search engine such as Google or Bing for those mobile searches. And both Google and Bing have stated they only want that one site, that responsive site that is the same in mobile as it is in desktop. So overall, this step will expand your reach and create a better experience for your customers. So now you've got a beautifully designed site and consumers can access it on any device they choose. You need well-constructed listings. They are, after all, the main reason that somebody is coming to you in the first place. Who cares about listings? Is this really something across industries everybody's valuing? Whether they're looking at recreational vehicles to get away or looking at a unit to get a job done, people value listings as an important part of their online research. It matters to 91% of RV buyers, 84% of powersports buyers, 85% of equipment buyers, and 82% of commercial truck buyers. So you can see how important it is. Your listings need to be robust. They need to be detailed to ensure that your future customers can gather all the information they need to begin to make the decision to buy that unit from your dealership. So what are folks looking for within those online listings? Well, creating effective listings is as easy as getting paid. Because creating effective listings can feel overwhelming, we came up with PAID as an acronym. It's to help you easily remember how to hone your online listings. So the P stands for price, the A for appearance, the I for images, and the D for description. So let's go into the P. The P in PAID stands for price. There are a lot of factors within price beyond just featuring the list price of a unit. You've got to be transparent. Nobody wants a surprise when they pick up a unit and find out it's going to cost extra for things they didn't factor in. Include all additional pricing that comes with buying a unit, fees, upgrades, optional extras, and so forth. Remember, listings that include price perform much better than listings without. Conversion rates are higher, and listings with price receive more engagement than listings that don't have a price. It's a very simple addition, it's easy, and it makes a huge difference. So let's get into the A. The A in paid is for appearance. You can have every other acronym in paid perfectly set up, but if you don't take the time to create the keywords on your listings, they will get lost in Google search. Basic recommendations include having your location address listed, calling out specific keywords in description, keywords like 2003 Gulfstream, one slide, Chevy chassis, generator, gas water heater, booth dinette, tan beige exterior, and so forth. Don't be afraid to get too granular with these. Use the words that people could and would search for a unit using. They're the words you want to potentially show up for in the search engines. The I in paid is for images. Visuals increase retention by 42%. You want to give customers a realistic picture of your unit with well-taken photos that show off what makes it so impressive. Show everything and be honest. If there's damage they should be expecting, tell them up front. Every scratch, dent, or issue. You want the buyers to have no surprises when they show up on site to pick up their unit. And if you're actually showing pictures of that unit as opposed to stock photos, they see what they're going to be getting. So then we get to the last one. The D in paid is for descriptions. You need to draw in your buyer while giving them all the information they need. Like the recommendation I made for images, put everything out there so your buyer doesn't even think about going somewhere else. Don't be afraid to highlight all types of jobs that your unit can accomplish so you can capture the interest of different audiences. And it could also help them potentially show up in Google search for things around those jobs. Add in those basic uses for the unit so you can appeal to the non-professional buyer audience too. If your inventory is the only unit for miles, call attention to that scarcity to capture buyers before they look anywhere else. To help speed up writing descriptions, create a template or a checklist of what you want to include in each listing. Things like make, year, uses, specs like the class, the mileage, the condition, the floor plans, and anything else that you think is of interest to folks who would be looking for those units. Now, I used to talk about videos as an extra step you could go to make your listings that much more robust and appealing to your customers. But the more we continue to socially distance and people begin to rely on the listings, the more things like 360 and walk around videos should be required in creating a robust listing that appeals to consumers. Now, obviously, there's no V in paid, so we change this over to very paid to help you remember to always include those videos. These videos don't need to be high quality production. They can be filmed and uploaded in as quickly as a minute. Use your iPhone, your Droid phone, whatever. It doesn't have to be the newest version. Apple and Droid both have high quality cameras that can give you a pretty good video. You can invest in a stabilizer, which is a small device that ensures your customers aren't seasick trying to look at your units. They're only about $50 to $100, so they're not going to break the bank. For a listing video, you can have a sales rep talk through a walkthrough, or you can just have it as silent and just have the video go through. Neither is required. More importantly, you want to just show every inch of your vehicle, especially when it comes to equipment, RVs and heavy-duty trucks. You want consumers to get a sense of the space inside so they know exactly what they're expecting. And lastly, these walkarounds are important to your listings, but their expansion and value to overall digital marketing efforts are limitless. Upload them to YouTube and target people looking for walkarounds of different units. Include them in emails to consumers so they can start thinking about their next unit. Post them on your social media sites for people to share. Submit them to the Oscars and win it. Well, okay, maybe not that one. But this one video can be ingrained in other digital marketing efforts, helping all your 7 level up tips push your dealership that much further. Now, if you're looking to take your online listings to the next level, you can take the following steps. Consider using a third-party marketplace to increase the amount of views your listings receive. I may know a few of those. These marketplaces can also pull listings from your website, so you don't have to create them twice. You can activate advertising through marketplaces. Look at options that you have with your third-party marketplace partner to increase how high your listings will appear on these sites. And you can also use listings to grow relationships. You can start nurturing prospects as soon as a shopper views a listing, and digital touch points can build those strong consumer relationships. All right, so building a user-friendly website is important, but it's also critical to constantly bring consumers back to your website. The goal is to get consumers to look at your listings and ultimately move down your sales funnel. Social media becomes a powerful tool to build your brand and authority among your customers, helping you fill your sales funnel. There are currently 224 million Facebook users in the USA and Canada, and the average American spends about 3 hours a day on social networks. Now, with consumers spending this much time on these platforms, social sites offer the perfect opportunity to reach them and connect with buyers. Don't think that just because you're a dealership, you don't need that kind of social interaction with your consumers. 71% of consumers who have had a positive experience with a brand on social media are likely to recommend the brand to their family and friends. And think of social media as an extension of your website. Your social pages contain the same important information as your website, your hours of operation, your location, your contact info, etc. Social media is also a great place to show what units you have available in an interactive way, as well as to show off your market specials and feature giveaways. Post that new 2021 model and ask your followers, can you see yourself socially distanced in the new year with this unit? Social media is also where you can show off your brand, but add some of your dealership staff personality. It's an excellent place to connect with your audience in a fun, authentic, and organic way. Now, there is a lot that goes into creating a social media persona. You want your posts to convey your dealership's personality. To start with, you've got to actually identify what that personality is, identify your online voice and work to keep it consistent. Are you going to be sassy and funny when replying to comments? Are you going to comment back with emojis? Are you going to get political, or are you going to stay as far away from politics as possible? Will you only post with positivity, or are you going to get very honest with your followers? Find your voice. See what connects with your customer base, and ensure that everybody that's contributing to your social media presence is aware of it and understands the parameters of what you want to showcase. You also want to develop a consistent posting cadence. Now, there is no definitive, this is exactly what you should do, but I would say that you want to start out posting on Facebook 1 to 3 times a week. If you're going to do Instagram, 1 to 2 times a week over there. If you're going to do YouTube, 1 to 2 times a month. But it's going to change as you figure out what works for you and what works for your audience, what resonates with your audience. The key is to build out that content calendar at the beginning of the month so you have that plan in place and you're not constantly scrambling to come up with things to post during hectic weeks, which we all know we have all the time. So the limit doesn't exist on what you can post. Your posts can be informational, they can feature helpful articles, resources. You can get your followers involved by posting polls, posting questions. You can use contests and giveaways to encourage individuals to share your page, although caveat there, make sure you follow the contest and giveaway rules of that social platform. Facebook, for example, has some very strict rules on what you can do from a contest and giveaway perspective. Get your employees involved. Have them go live and give a tour of the unit or even the showroom. Have them show off their personality and interact with people digitally. If you aren't sure how much to post, just remember to post regularly and on a schedule. Social media algorithms favor those who post regularly, meaning your page is more likely to show up on account featuring pages, which is basically free advertising. And who doesn't love free advertising? Social media is meant to be social. You need to interact with people through your accounts and create ways for the community to interact with you. Ask questions like, where is your favorite place to vacation? Encourage folks who have bought units from you in the past to send you pictures for you to feature along with a testimonial. Always respond back to comments, good, bad, or neutral. Your response back to a consumer can help keep your brand front of mind and can also help to head off questions that other folks may have. Now, we could create a presentation alone just about social media, and we have. If you check out the video section of our branded media kits to watch this we have a presentation there, that you can gain more tips and tricks on social media. We also turn this presentation into RV, cycle equipment, and truck guides, which are in the guide section of this presentation. Each goes in depth into social media strategy with real examples you can use on your pages. So now we get into SEO. If you haven't been paying attention to the SEO performance of your site up to this point, you have not completely optimized all the hard work you've already put into your online presence. In order to ensure your online site is performing optimally, you have to factor in SEO. Now, it's not as scary as it sounds, another acronym, I know, but SEO is search engine optimization. And you're not optimizing search engines, you're optimizing for search engines. It's an important element to your online presence because it helps your website appear when somebody conducts a search using keywords that apply to your company within those search engines. SEO refers to the steps you're already taking to make your website user-friendly to help it appear higher on a Google search page, and Bing as well, but we all know it's Google is the main one that we want to get into. On the first page of search engine results, the first 5 organic results account for something like 68% of the clicks. Obviously, that varies based on the type of search being done, but still, if you're not on page 1, you're not there. There are more steps you can take to help your website appear even higher on the search engine results pages. So, surprise, you're already helping your SEO if you're doing or will be doing everything we've discussed up to this point. Having a well-built website, publishing effective listings with thorough descriptions, especially if they're unique content. If you're building those listings yourself, you're building in those relevant keywords throughout your site, that all contributes to strong SEO. Even if you do nothing else but the previously covered steps, you're boosting your SEO performance. That's probably 80% of SEO done there. Of course, you don't want to just do the minimum. There are things you can do to help your website appear even higher in the searches. Now, I know when it comes to content, it can seem overwhelming and time consuming, but written content is so helpful in your SEO performance. Many people looking to buy a new unit might be searching for sale near me, units for sale, but what about those standard dip their toes into the industry? And we've seen a lot of folks, especially in the RV industry, the power sports industry this year, those who are searching for things like top tips for first-time buyers, or, you even might have those seasoned buyers searching for things like top places to buy or rent near me. By creating content, you're helping your website to appear at or near the top of searches for those maybe not looking just for a unit. By creating this content, you not only build your SEO, but you build your reputation as an expert in the field. To first-time buyers, you're building trust, and that trust is coming through these articles around the industry you are creating in connection, creating that connection between your brand and those new consumers. And the best part about this content is you can make it evergreen. And evergreen content is that content that's always relevant. It doesn't need a lot of updating. Tips for the RV or power sports lifestyle or job site tips, topics to like things to do in your RV, best local road trips on a motorbike, or ways to winterize your trucks and your equipment. They're always relevant year after year. And even a year from now, consumers will be searching and looking for those same answers. Create that content once and let it do its thing. Now, getting the right keywords on your website helps your SEO performance. At the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned that keywords should be on your website, but building those keywords out even further can be something you do once to increase performance well into the future. The best way to do this is to think about the ways in which a person searches for a unit and everything else a person looking for a unit might be researching. Similarly to how you consider in-person interactions to define the online information you need to present on your website, think of how someone walks into your dealership and asks about the units. Those questions are the same keywords you want on your website. For example, let's use RVs. things like RVs for families, new RVs, used RVs, financing RVs, and best RV dealers near me, or ATVs, commercial vans, whatever is the bread and butter of a dealership. Think in terms of how people are using the internet. Think of how you search. Think of how your family would search for them, and then include those words. They will help improve your SEO performance. The big caveat here is, don't think that repeating the same keyword over and over and over and over again will help you more. That will actually hurt you, as the search engines will see that as what's called keyword stuffing, and they'll think you're trying to game the system. So write your site for a user with the keywords that the user would search for. And the search engines will like that. Now, I know SEO can seem very vague. How do you even know if it's all paying off? One way to get an understanding of your site's SEO is to run a free SEO report. This report will come through your website, give you a score based on the likeliness that would appear in search. You can use this report to figure out what you need to improve and guide you in adjusting your approach to capitalize on the opportunity for free ads, basically free advertising through this search. This tool that we have highlighted here is actually a Google tool. It's called Lighthouse. All you do is search for Google Lighthouse. It will add a little lighthouse icon into your Chrome browser. You go to your website, click that little lighthouse, and it will give you a report and tell you what needs fixing on your site. Very easy to do. Anybody can do it. All right, now let's get into SEM. So like SEO, SEM, or search engine marketing, is another way to ensure your site ends up at the top of search results pages. With millions of businesses out there all vying for the same eyeballs, it's never been more important to advertise online. Search engine marketing is one of the most effective ways to take everything else you have optimized and extend its reach even further. SEM is a popular way to target consumers in your local market. While SEO can be that free way to attract users to your site, SEM includes your site's paid promotions, such as pay-per-click. These campaigns run across all the major search engines and are incredibly customizable. Paid campaigns are considered part of a well-rounded digital marketing strategy. So SEM keywords are the terms and phrases that you target in your search engine marketing campaigns. When a user searches for these keywords, they will see your ads. For these keywords, I'll use trucks as an example. I think examples are important for SEO and SEM as it outright tells you what these keywords are. If I just say broad match, that can be hard to understand exactly what you're looking for. So with trucks, if your campaign targets the term new trucks for sale, your ad may show when a user searches for that phrase, assuming you have the budget for it. When you set up an SEM campaign, you'll choose the keywords you want to target and or avoid. When building out your SEO targets using the keywords on your site, SEM allows you to prioritize and organize what keywords are driving traffic to your site. So broad match keywords, that targets a variation of a term. This is where you will want to put plural and singular versions of all the types of trucks on your site. You can also include misspelling so that a quick search will still help you to appear. Phrase match keywords, they target the exact phrase, plus any phrases that have words that come before or after the target keyword. For example, these words might include best truck dealers near me, and then breaking down that one phrase into multiple different ways. This is another way to consider how your consumer is searching for you. Exact match keywords, these target words that are very closely related to the target term. It includes misspellings, singular or plural forms, stemmings, abbreviations, reordered words, paraphrases, or closely related words with the same search intent of the exact match term. Now, negative keywords that exclude terms that you don't want to target. This is also different from SEO. You could use this to help you not appear in searches for those who might be searching for backpacking and tent camping options. By incorporating negative keywords, you avoid popping up in searches that maybe are your target demographic, which also means that you're not going to have somebody click on something that is of no value to you because you're not what they're looking for, which is then going to cost you some money. So those negative keywords can really help you. So setting up SEM keywords is not the only way to utilize SEM. You can also set up ads that appear based on geographic distance to your dealership or ads that relate to visits to your site. Targeting keywords tells a search platform when to show your ads. SEM targeting takes it one step further. Through targeting, you set additional parameters for when your ad should show and who it should show to. You can do location-based targeting. That sets ads to only show to people who are within a certain zip code or geographic area. You can do ad schedule targeting that sets ads to only show at certain times of the day or during specific days of the week. I mean, if your ads are basically trying to get folks to give you a call and you only want calls when you've got staff in the office, you probably only want to have your ads display during your business hours. You can do demographic targeting. You can set ads to only show to people who fit certain demographic categories, such as age and gender. Or you can do device targeting. They can set ads to only show to users on specific devices, such as mobile phones or desktops or tablets. The most recognizable type of the SEM campaign is the pay-per-click, the PPC. When you search for a product or service in Google, for example, PPC ads display at the top and bottom of the search results. As we saw with SEO, appearing in the first few search results is going to have the biggest impact on the user. When you search on Google, you'll notice that the first few results that pop up are flagged as an ad. They've got that little ad logo on there. This is because they are paid advertising spots on Google, they're PPC. Becoming a search result ad relies on keywords to tell Google to pull your site for that query. This is an option, but obviously it costs you more than what organic SEO efforts will, given that when somebody clicks on one of your organic listings, it doesn't cost you a penny. When they click on your paid listing, it is going to charge you based on what your budget is, what you've set your cost per click targets to be, and so forth. Advantageously though, you appear first when your consumers search, and it helps you become that top of mind for buyers. So another form of paid advertising that can give your site the boost it needs is retargeting. So let's talk about retargeting. That's the form of online advertising that's based on a consumer's previous actions on the internet or their online behavior. Retargeting is valuable because, unlike traditional advertising that displays to a broader audience, retargeting allows you to focus your ad spend on consumers who already have some degree of interest in your product or service. It keeps you top of mind as they meander around the internet throughout their day-to-day activities. You can reach people who are already interested in your brand or product. Just because they leave your site doesn't mean that your opportunity to convert has ended. Retargeting ensures that you are front and center throughout their path to purchase. You can increase your brand recognition, which allows you to stay engaged with your audience. Let's face it, people will not always remember every brand or website that they've visited. By re-exposing your ads to those who've already visited your site, you are reinforcing your brand recognition. You can differentiate and follow up with qualified leads who might have a higher level of interest in your offering. For example, you can retarget people who visited a specific page, like the pricing page or the contact page on your website. That indicates a closer proximity to conversion compared to other pages like just visiting the home page. And you can also drive repeat traffic by bringing consumers back to you. Without retargeting, you could be missing out on opportunities to re-engage and convert. Like that vacation search example I mentioned earlier, you're more motivated to take action when you see what you're looking for over and over again. And retargeting does work. There are so many stats out there about retargeting, but I want to highlight 3 key findings for you today. 70% of consumers who see ads are more likely to convert. So if you're doubting the effectiveness of digital ads, think again. 400% see a boost in ad click-through rates from retargeting. And that is huge because these consumers have already looked at your unit and they're much more likely to click compared to regular ads. And finally, 91% of marketers found that retargeting performs the same as or better than search, email, or other ads. This proves that retargeting is something that you should be adding into your marketing mix if it's not already there. So now you know what retargeting is. Here's a quick visual describing how it typically works. A user visits your website, then that user leaves your website. Your ads are shown to them again and again across other websites as they continue to browse throughout the next day, the next week, however long you've set your retargeting up for. So think of it this way. A user comes to your site or your third-party marketplace and looks at a few units. They're dreaming of that long weekend in the fall foliage with their friends and family, but they're in the middle of working. So they quickly jump off your site and go back to their spreadsheets or whatever else they were working on. Later that day, they're scrolling through their Instagram and they see an ad for the same units they were looking at earlier, or an ad for your dealership. Instantly, they're reminded of the campfires and those cozy feelings, and they go back to your website to have another look and keep searching further. The goal is that the user clicks on one of those ads and is directed back to your site to take the next step, gently pushing them further along that purchase funnel. So what types of retargeting ads are there? Well, there's display and dynamic ads. Which one you choose depends on those goals that we just walked through. And you don't have to choose just one. Having both display and dynamic ads can actually work together to help bring in those leads. On the screen, you can see examples of display ads. Display ads are static marketing ads with some type of visual and marketing message and are ideal for meeting your goal of spreading awareness. You can set predetermined conditions on display ads that dictate which ones people can see based on what they viewed. Dynamic ads, on the other hand, create unique ads for each consumer and are ideal for meeting your goal of conversion. Dynamic ads work great for businesses with a large catalog of product or inventory because they can be set up to actually show exact products that are relevant to what the consumer has already viewed online. So now that you can optimize all these steps, but if you don't continue to measure and monitor your activity after you optimize your site, you're not going to know how effective your optimization efforts have been. And you're going to miss out on opportunities to tweak and further hone the effectiveness of these strategies. So as you're optimizing your online presence, keep in mind your ultimate goal. Determine what your upfront goals are going to be and know how to measure them. Optimizing your site should constantly be an updating and evolving process, but laying the initial groundwork will be what drives your future efforts. Putting all that work in and not yielding successful results can be a waste of time. If your goal is awareness of your brand, focus on how far your ads are spreading. Measure your volume, your reach, and your exposure when looking at your performance. If your goal is engagement with the audience, take note of how many leads you're generating, how often people reach out with questions, how many views you get on videos, how many thumbs up if they're on YouTube, how many comments you get, what other kind of interactions you're getting on social, how people are engaging with the content that you put out there, the different types of content. If your ultimate goal is to drive traffic to your website, take a look at your SEM and your SEO and your retargeting performance and see whether they really are driving more eyeballs back to your website. Now, after you've been executing your strategy for a few months, determine your benchmarks. If you're looking for a general benchmarking stat, it's very hard to determine generalized numbers. Maybe start with a number like 1% as a good starting target conversion rate. Again, this relies on many different factors that can and will vary. But many times that traffic ultimately comes back later via direct traffic or organic search when they're ready to buy, because they know your name from the branding you've created around your dealership. And don't let all of this hard work go to waste. Watch your views, your engagement, and the messages you receive to your pages. If you use Google Analytics to monitor your site traffic, the best way to see how those videos drive returns is by tagging the URLs you share in your posts with tracking codes. Google offers a free URL campaign builder to help you structure and track those different efforts. Also, make sure to routinely review your social media analytics, just like you would your dealership reporting. Reviewing these analytics helps you understand whether or not your social strategy needs to be adjusted. If you set specific goals for your social channel, like growing your follower count or increasing inquiries by a certain percentage, use reporting to see how the results are stacking up against your goals. Are you succeeding? are your followers engaging? And as you look at your share numbers, your engagement level, your conversion rate, and all these other things, take the time to get to know your audience better. First, use what performs best to determine how your customers are shopping. Are your customers constantly engaging with your retargeting ads? Are they coming through Google organically? Are they coming through your pay-per-click campaigns? See which channels best attract your customers, and also which ones are actually driving those conversions. You can start to shift your spend, you can start to shift your focus exactly on how your customers like to shop. Although it's only one part of your leveling up strategy, social media is a hugely undervalued resource for getting to know your customer. It gives you a direct pathway to understanding what customers are truly interested in. Some key audience demographics you can see through social are things like your audience's gender and age, location, interests, household income, consumer behavior, specific time of day on the platforms, and so much more. All of this can help you to formulate a better overall business strategy. And if you know these general parameters around your audience, it can only help you to continue to grow and to improve. So let's very quickly review all this. Digital marketing is extremely important in an evolving and increasingly digital world. COVID-19 has only accelerated the shift to online. To ensure you are targeting your customers, you must have a user-friendly and optimized website. That website must list all your inventory so your customer knows exactly what is available and what it will cost them. Go even further to connect with your customer by optimizing your social strategy and using that to bring customers back to your website. SEO and SEM go together, but are also so different. Use each to drive traffic to your website, whether that's organic or spending some marketing dollars to really advance your strategy and help you to appear higher in Google than your competitors do. A tool like retargeting is going to help remind consumers that are on the internet of why they are even thinking about buying a unit in the first place. And then, of course, lastly, please make sure to measure all of these efforts. You can't know whether you've succeeded if you're not measuring. Utilize your KPIs and your benchmarks so you truly know how much your efforts are paying off and what and where you need to adjust to make them the most effective. All right, now into questions.
Thank you, Simon, for all those helpful tips. We'll wait for a few questions to come in. Seeing the first one is, can you recommend some ways to encourage content creation from our team? Would you recommend making it the responsibility of one person or encourage different members of your team to contribute that content?
Okay. Well, if your sales folks want to be seen as experts or thought leaders in your industry, they know the topics. Creating content around the topics that they're experts in, that can be a great lead gen tool for them. It can also humanize them and get folks to recognize them as someone that they might actually want to deal with, to buy from. If you've got someone on your team that actually takes weekend RV trips with their family, or they ride a motorcycle, or they use their equipment in backyard do-it-yourself. They put a fence in last week, and they write about that. Folks can read these posts and decide to come in to speak to that salesperson because they have that hopefully future shared experience, and they can help them to identify how the units that you have in your dealership are going to help them with what they're trying to do, whether that's on the recreation side, whether it's some form of relaxation, or on the commercial side, whether it's getting a job done.
Awesome. The next question we have coming in is, what is the best way to promote backlinks for your site?
Well, so I would say that the first thing is make sure that you have your own internal linking correctly sorted out so that the search engines can find all of the pages on your site without having to go too deep. And then when you're trying to get external links into your site, so if you are building good content, sometimes it will get picked up. by other sites. You may want to think about reaching out to local sites. So, for example, if you have a chamber of commerce that might be interested in posting some information about local campgrounds, you might be able to get a post over to them to put on their site, or if it's your local news sites, they may be interested in doing some kind of syndication with you, where they will take some of your posts and put them up. So there is definitely a level of outreach that's involved in getting those links into your site. I mean, we create content on our sites, and we use a PR firm who has connections with national websites, and when they find something that we have created that is of interest to them, they will put that on there and create. We get those nice links coming into our site. But you do want to think about relevance of links as well. How are you going to get relevant links coming into your site? Some things that you might do if you sponsor like a local baseball team, or if you have done some charitable donation thing in your area, those organizations will sometimes put links back to you as well. So it's another way to build those local links, and it also helps up to build up your company as a member of the community. But Google does like to see those relevant links, and those relevant links could be industry links, they could be local links. They're all going to help you in different ways.
Okay, the next one came in as a commercial-focused question, but I think it can really apply across the brands. It's, can commercial managers manage their SEM themselves, or should they rely on the marketing manager at the dealership?
Anybody can really do it. The question is, how well can they do it? So, I'm sorry, I'm just coughing a little bit here. The thing with building SEM campaigns out is that it's very easy to do something wrong and blow through your budget and not get any kind of return on ad spend. You do need to have somebody who will actually spend the time looking at it to make sure that you are getting clicks from the right keywords, that you have the right negative keywords in place, so you're not getting you're not spending money on things that are of no value to you whatsoever. So you could have other folks in the organization do it, but it just probably is not going to be as effective. Someone who can actually spend the time to work with it, someone who has a bit of experience working in SEM, is probably going to provide you much better results.
Okay, and how do you recommend getting started with retargeting?
I would say, read up about it. I think we have some resources in our handouts that talk about retargeting in there. So yeah, really read up about retargeting, identify, how you would like to start with it. I would say, do some tests with a lower budget to kind of identify what makes sense and see if it is working for you, and then just ramp it up from there. But I would definitely, you've got different levels of retargeting you can do. You can do Facebook retargeting, you can do the Google retargeting. Try them with a limited budget and see.
Awesome, and this will be the last question. Do you recommend discussing or negotiating price over chat?
I mean, that really gets more into the sales side of things rather than the digital marketing side of things. I mean, in today's world, where we are doing more things online, you may not have folks that are going to come into your dealership. But I would say if you're going to be doing a negotiation around pricing, you might want to just actually pick up the phone or do a hangout and do the chat that way.
Okay, and we actually just had one more pop in, so I'll just ask quickly, would you post on social media with more flashy items or very, very used items, or both? And they're a semi-trucks dealership.
The answer to that is yes. You're going to want to mix up what you're posting on social. You know, maybe post some of those used units, post some of the new units, post some evergreen content, post some questions. And the idea is see what resonates with your followers. You know, if you have followers on your Facebook that are more interested in your new units, and you see that because you get the interactions with those new units you're posting, then, you know, don't post as many used units, post the newer units. If, you know, if you're on a different platform, if you're on, you know, if you're posting to Instagram or Pinterest or, you know, some other platform, and you see that you know, it's a different engagement there, then go with what the engagement is on that platform. You want to make sure that you are driving the content that your users are engaging with, which is going to drive them to your site. You don't want to be posting stuff that nobody cares about or doesn't get that engagement. And that's not to say that, you know, you might post those used pieces, those used units on Facebook, and you don't get as much engagement on them there. But if you see the conversion coming through for those, then that still might mean, okay, let's post the used ones because people are actually, they're seeing that, they're clicking through, coming to the to our website and following through the sales process. So, you know, it's where you've really got to look at your analytics. You've really got to look and see what the overall picture is.
Awesome. All right, with that, thank you again, Simon, for all these insights, and thank you to everyone for being a part of today's webinar. We encourage you to reach out to us at marketing@traderinteractive.com if you have any additional questions about leveling up your online strategy for the new year. And I encourage you to visit our media kits to look up articles and guides that go more in depth on a lot of these topics. So keep an eye out for our 2021 webinar schedule, where we'll go even more in depth. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all.